The Morning Show with Mr. G and Paul Stone. The talk of the Treasure Coast. 1590 WPSL.
Here's the latest on the election. On Saturday, the New York Times released some of Donald Trump's old tax returns, which they say were leaked by someone inside Trump's camp. Or as Trump's lesser-known daughter Tiffany put it, want to pay attention to me now, Dad? Tiffany, by the way. And this is crazy. The tax returns show that Trump lost about $1 billion in 1995. Trump was like, what can I say? I thought Furbies were going to be huge. A little bit. Instead, it just wound up being my hair. And if you put it next to a Furby, they talk to each other. Actually, the $1 billion loss is partly due to his failed airline. Apparently, Trump's planes could fly further than anyone expected, then go into a tailspin the second they were insulted. And that's I don't know. That's what they said.
I didn't realize that.
That's what they said. But this is pretty big. Yesterday, LeBron James wrote an op-ed where he endorses Hillary Clinton. Yeah. LeBron says he and Hillary are all about the same thing, taking forever to finally win something. Here's some celebrity news. Lady Gaga told People magazine that her new album was influenced by the men in her life. Then Taylor Swift was like, hey, stay in your lane, pal. On Friday, Arnold Schwarzenegger was stopped in Germany by a police officer for riding a bicycle through a train station. Schwarzenegger may have gone unnoticed if he hadn't been frantically ringing the bell and shouting, get out of the way if you want to live. What? Get out of the way.
The Morning Show, G and Paul. And ABC developing a new version of The Gong Show.
Oh, really?
Did you like that show?
I'm just trying to think. It's been so long ago.
Was that Chuck Barris, I believe?
Yeah, could be, sure.
It's pretty much, I mean, I guess it originally ran from 76 to 80. Previously revived in 88, but it only lasted one season. For the millennials out there, it was basically America's Got Talent, but mostly minus the talent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember who was it? There was an act that used to put a bag over their head, the unknown comedian or something like that. They're revolving. They have a revolving panel. They had, I should say, of celebrity judges who hit a big gong.
That too.
They may have done that before they got on stage. They hit a big gong to stop an act that sucked, and that happened a lot. The judges were Jane P. Morgan, Jamie Farr, Artie Johnson, Rip Taylor, Phyllis Diller.
Most of them are gone, I think. Not G.
Steve Garvey, Rex Reed. Not that you probably recognize any of these names. I recognize some of them, especially Phyllis Diller. It also had a reputation for being a little racy, at least for the time. Anyway, the new version, Paul, it'll have the same premise, although the acts will somehow be chosen from the internet. Either they'll be sought out from YouTube videos, or people will just submit audition tapes that way.
It says right here, I googled it. The show is the latest in a series of reboots on ABC, which includes new versions of The Match Game, To Tell the Truth, Celebrity Family Feud, and the $100,000 Pyramid, which is only a $10,000 pyramid back in 1973.
Now, The Match Game. Have you seen that yet? That's our boy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. No.
Yeah, and he even has the long microphone.
Oh.
The same thing that Gene Rayburn used to have.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, I mean, I guess that's ABC's new thing. They're bringing back all these old shows. We'll see what happens with it. Some random facts for you, Paul. Dennis Wilson was the only member of the Beach Boys who actually surfed. Right, baby. Do you have a falsetto, Paul? Can you get that high note? Come on,
Not
come
as
on,
much
Paul.
as I used to, G.
Can you do one, though?
When somebody bit me,
you get the falsetto?
Yeah,
but you got pretty much bass. And the band played on that. Kellogg's ripped off the idea for Pop-Tarts from Post. Oh, I know this. Post announced that they were going to be making a pastry for your toaster called Country Squares. Kellogg's got a hold of it, quickly developed their own version, and got them out first in 1964, so you never heard of
a little sabotage there. Huh?
Post version of that. And, Paul, this is interesting. Today's high school freshmen were born after 9/11. They never used digital cameras and don't know life without Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Isn't that something? I mean...
And if the power goes out? They are hurting big time.
BuzzFeed put together this list about this year's high school freshmen and just how young they are relative to you. Most of them were born in 2002, which means they were born after September 11th. They were born when My Big Fat Greek Wedding, 8 Mile, and the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out. Most of them were born after Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake broke up. But remember how cool the original white iPods were? They never had one. By the time they were old enough to listen to music, we were already on to the third or fourth iPhone, and iPods were basically obsolete. This new generation, Paul, what are you going to do?
I'm telling you.
It's amazing, actually.
Good morning. It's 8:18 now. It's 73 degrees. The temperature's gone down a couple of different degrees in the last couple hours. You're getting cooler outside. That must mean fall's in the air. Time for news from 1590 WPSL, the talk of the Treasure Coast. Governor Scott is urging Floridians to get prepared for the possibility of a major Hurricane Matthew, directly impacting Florida's Atlantic coast from the Keys all the way up to Jacksonville later this week. The governor has declared a state of emergency for all of Florida's 67 counties.
I'm staying in constant contact with the National Hurricane Center and emergency management teams in all 67 counties to make sure that every local community has all the resources needed to prepare and respond.
And the U.S. Coast Guard is advising boaters throughout South Florida to start preparing for Matthew. The rough seas and windy days ahead means they need to make fast plans to lock their boats down. At the Sun Bay Marina in Stewart, located along the St. Lucie River, boats remain some distance from the coast, but this waterway will play a major role for boaters to try to get away as the approaching storm surge comes on. Overall, the 2016 vice presidential candidates remain largely unknown to voters nationwide, but both have net positive ratings, unlike the candidates on top of the ticket. The Republican vice presidential candidate Mike Pence is somewhat more familiar to voters than Democrat Tim Kaine. All the candidates prepare to meet for their first and only debate, and voters are more likely than not to think of each of these as vice presidential candidates who could serve effectively as president if they needed to step up to that job. Tim Kaine and Mike Pence get similar marks. 37% think Kaine has the ability to do so, and 41% say that about Pence. But a sizable percentage of voters just don't have an opinion either way. The college student accused of killing 2 people and biting the face of one of the victims has been released from the hospital and booked into the Martin County Jail on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Austin Haroof, 19, had been at St. Mary's Medical Center since the attack at the home near Tequesta in mid-August. CBS 12's Jenna Eschbach reports.
Yeah, the U.S. Marshals Task Force actually brought him here in a barrage of security into the Martin County Jail, where he is being booked at this hour. Now, it's hard to believe this is the same Austin Harif who is charged with these crimes. He is thinner, disoriented, and shackled at the hands and feet.
Tell us why you hurt those people.
Brought in with thick security by the U.S. Marshals Task Force, 19-year-old Austin Harif will now face the punishment for what he did that awful night in August.
Are you able to still talk?
Finally in custody at the Martin County Sheriff's Office after months spent in the hospital, recovering from ingesting a chemical. The night deputies witnessed him killing John and Michelle Stevens and then stabbing their neighbor, trying to stop Austin in his rage. Today, a much thinner, quieter Austin is shackled at the hands and feet. And we've heard the pleas from his father for mercy on the Dr. Phil show here on CBS 12 earlier last month.
I'm deeply sorry for what my son did to those people.
Dr. Wade Harif apologized to the families of John and Michelle Stevens, saying he saw signs of mental instability in his son in the days leading up to the murders.
How are you feeling, Austin?
But had no idea Austin was capable of such a crime.
A father speaks in behalf of his son. No matter what his son does, the father remains the father. I can identify with that. But the true victims in this are the families of our 2 murder victims, and they're the ones that have my heart.
Now, the detectives had planned to try and question Austin Harif here as he is in the Martin County Jail, but we saw his lawyer show up shortly after he was brought into custody. It will take several hours for him to be booked in and placed into the medical unit. We're live in Stewart, Jenna Eschbach.
And a 50-year-old woman is dead after getting hit by a car in Port St. Lucie yesterday. Police say Antoinette Bauman had tried to cross the Port St. Lucie Boulevard at Eroso Boulevard when a 2009 blue Chevrolet Blazer hit her. She was taken to the St. Lucie Medical Center where she passed away. Witnesses told police the driver had the green light at the time of the crash. The driver of the SUV was not injured, and no charges are pending. SeaWorld plans to offer customers what some are calling a socially conscious food. The change is a part of the promise made after the end of the whale breeding program in March. Some of the new foods to be offered include eggs from cage-free chickens, pork from suppliers committed to humane farming practices, and more plant-based options. The new policy will be in effect at all 12 parks owned by the company, including SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens in Tampa. The new food plans will be phased in over the next year. Andy Man versus Bear, twice. Well, CBS News correspondent Bill Whitney, he has a story for us.
What would you do after being attacked twice by a bear? Todd Orr posted it on Facebook. Orr was in Montana's Madison River Valley Saturday when he spotted a female grizzly with 2 cubs. She spotted Orr and charged, biting his arms and shoulders. Orr dropped to the ground and played dead. The bear left but returned after a few minutes and mauled him again. After hiking 3 miles to his truck, Orr drove himself to the hospital. He posted graphic video that shows his mangled arm and blood streaming from a deep gash in his head. But on the plus side,
legs are good, internal organs are good, eyes are good.
He said life sucks in bear country. Bill Whitney, CBS News.
And those are the stories making news this hour. Your traffic is coming right up.
Paul, I see we were doing high school freshmen were born. Today's high school freshmen, some things that they have never seen, and this is interesting. They most likely never have used a digital camera because and they've only taken pictures with a phone.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's technology, G.
They've never known a world without Wi-Fi, Wikipedia, or GPS directions. They don't know about a map.
Does that make them smarter or less informed or more informed? Who knows?
I don't know what it makes, Paul, but it just makes me go,
Let's check the traffic right now, G. The last report we had, there was a backup on I-95 in Gatlin, backed up to Crosstown Parkway. If that has changed, folks, you're down that neck of the woods, give us a call here. Our number is 340-1590.
It's 1590 WPSL's Your World in 60 Seconds.
The New York Attorney General is ordering the charitable foundation run by GOP nominee Donald Trump to stop fundraising in the state because it is not properly registered to do so.
A Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member who plays a mean guitar also has an eye for art, and it's paying off.
In 2001, Eric Clapton purchased 3 paintings by German artist Gerhard Richter for $3.4 million. He sold the first 2 for a combined $55 million, going on the auction block at Christie's next month, the third, with an estimated value of $20 million, which could net the musician a combined $70 million plus. Not bad for a recovering alcoholic, former cocaine and heroin addict, who told Classic Rock magazine he was plucked from the jaws of hell and given another chance.
North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory has just declared a state of emergency in 66 counties just in case Hurricane Matthew slams ashore later this week.
We're going to see the storm move closer and closer. It's been slow, and that's the problem.
The Supreme Court returns to work.
Bass Pro Shop says it plans to buy its rival Cabela's, combining 2 of the largest sellers of outdoor sporting goods in the United States.
AAA's national average for regular remains a fraction above $2.22 a gallon.
And those are the national stories making news this hour. Let's have a look now at the precious metals market. Gold is at $1,306. That's down 1.07%. And silver is down 1.73% at $18.68. The precious metals markets has been brought to you by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coins, trading in gold and silver bullion and all U.S. coins since 1994.
And now from Studio 3BA, let's talk sports with Paul Stone.
Well, thank you, G. 2 Florida college coaches are not very happy campers heading into the start of another week. In Gainesville, Jim McElwain had this to say.
You've got to hold yourself to a higher standard in everything that you do. And we have some guys that do and some guys that kind of wait for somebody else. You understand? You don't need to wait for somebody else. Go do it yourself.
FSU head coach Jimbo Fisher says there's no magic formula for his team after losing his second ACC game.
Got to coach them. Got to look for any other answers. Look at yourself. Got to coach them. I got to coach them better. They got to play better. And we got to put them in there, and they got to do what they're coaching. We got to make sure they're doing what they're coaching and make sure they understand everything they're doing. That's what you do. You get right back. There ain't nothing magical going to happen. There ain't nothing magic. You got to coach better. And we got to play better.
Said he's pretty annoyed also at the way his team has been playing.
Why is the season over? See this playoff thing? Oh, who cares? I mean, all right, if you're out of the playoff, good. Now you got pride, you got seasons, you got winning streaks, you got to be what you're going to be, what kind of team you want to be, what kind of person you want to be. There's a name on the back of your jersey. Every time you play, you represent it. There's a name on the front of your jersey. Every time you play, you represent it. That's what you play for, and you play for each other.
And FSU will try and bounce back against 10th-ranked Miami this Saturday morning. And on Monday Night Football last night, Minnesota's defense denied Odell Beckham Jr. all night long, forcing 2 turnovers that led to 10 points and mystified Eli Manning yet again during the 24-10 victory Monday night. And after the first 4 weeks in the NFL season, there are 3 state teams all sitting at 1-3. Well, the Bucs lost their 3rd straight game, 27-7. The Broncos on Sunday. Coach Dick Carter said he hasn't lost faith in his team or his staff. The Jaguars got to 1-3 by winning in London on Saturday, 30-27. That was London on Sunday, 30-27. At 8 o'clock in the morning, G, I missed that game entirely.
I didn't even do the pick. I didn't even pick the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we really missed there at Jacksonville after all. After only 1 season as a big hitting coach, well, Barry Bonds has been fired by the Miami Marlins, according to multiple reports. Bonds is a Major League Baseball career leader in home runs with 762 and a 7-time NL MVP, but he's not been admitted to the Hall of Fame because of suspicion over performance-enhancing drugs. And the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays will get it on this evening for the first wild card game of the season at 8 p.m. You can hear it right here on WPSL. And, G, who do you have today leading our Pick'em League?
Well, congratulations. Cornbread, Unstable Cornbread, our clear winner this week, won a whole bunch of stuff, man, and it's good to be at the top of the heap.
Yes, it is. I hope to try that again one day.
Well, you know what it feels like. I've got a story here. The Texas Rangers just announced some ridiculous new food items they'll be selling at their concession stands during the playoffs. Now, I guess they either hired a psychopath as their new head chef or they've overbought on food and they're randomly throwing all this stuff together to try to get rid of it. Here's 3 of the new things they've got on sale, Paul. A pita bread sandwich featuring smoked brisket, mac and cheese, and caramel popcorn.
Wait a minute, all together?
Yes.
Ooh.
Looks like they put either mustard or nacho cheese on top of all that. It costs $15. Number 2, a 2-pound hamburger covered in cheese sauce made from ghost peppers.
They're hot, real hot. They'll burn your mouth up, man.
Well, that one's $27. And a hot dog inside of a tamale covered in chili and nacho cheese. They didn't say how much that one's going to cost. The Rangers kick off the playoffs on Thursday afternoon.
Did they happen to mention the $40 pizza? They didn't mention.
No, that's at Met Stadium. That's here at Tradition Field.
Yeah,
we'll get into that one on another day here. It's 8:39.
You're hearing the morning show, Talk of the Treasure Coast, 1590 WPSL. Going to have the time of your life, I promise.
And good morning. It's time to welcome on board Dan Martinelli, the Executive Director of the Treasure Coast Wildlife Center. Good morning, Dan. How are you today?
Good morning. I am well. How is everyone out there?
Well, we're good, trying to keep track of the weather. What's going to happen down your neck of the woods if you get that storm we're talking about?
Yeah, it's really, really scary, unfortunately, not just for the Wildlife Center, but for wild creatures in general. You know, they don't have warnings and radio and alerts and all such kinds of things, and they don't necessarily know it's coming. And when it comes, they don't have concrete block buildings to shelter in either. So we would expect some significant impacts on wild creatures. Regrettably, much of that will remain unseen. You know, wild animals, when they're injured, don't come seeking human help. And animals that are injured in something like this storm, nestlings that are blown out of their nests, or birds that are literally blown through the sky, they're not going to come looking for help, and they may or may not even be found by people. They go to hide when they're injured because they're not made to go and seek out any kind of help or assistance. So it's going to be a tough couple of days for wild creatures. And similarly for our facility, our outdoor caging is also going to be problematic if we have a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane pass through. We've been in this location since Hurricane Wilma, and we did sustain some significant damage damage to our caging and other enclosures and facilities during Wilma. So we institutionally are also crossing our fingers and hoping that this thing decides to stay out at sea and not push on through our area.
So Dan, is it true that birds have a kind of a sixth sense about when storms that are coming, that they will move before the actual storm actually gets here?
Well, a lot of animals, including even some people, are sensitive to falling barometric pressure. And falling barometric pressure, of course, is associated with major storms like this. If you're watching the TV news, you see them putting up the 934 millibars, the barometric pressure of this storm. So yes, some animals are sensitive to that. Some birds may be sensitive to that. Unfortunately, though, they also do not have, while they may feel the need to get out of the way, they may also not have benefit of the radar synopsis that tells them which way would be the better way to go. So, in either scenario, it's still not the best for critters out there.
Well, let's all hope that it passes us by. Maybe a little rain, maybe a little wind, but nothing horrible. Tell us a bit about the Gula Carnival coming up on the 29th of October.
Oh, well, that's far enough away that it will not be impacted. It is our annual signature event. It's going to be on the 29th, as you said, and it's going to be it's not just a party. It's an event. We'll be at the Hammock House, just west of Stewart, and we will be having let's say, a haunting. The Hammock House is said to have various kinds of legends surrounding former occupants, and we will be there for a Halloween event featuring some of those former occupants. It's going to be a sit-down dinner, a 4-course meal, an open bar, and a tremendous, tremendous entertainment is planned for the evening. So we hope everybody will be aware and apprised and get tickets because they are going very quickly. It is a small venue, and it will sell out, and we don't want anyone who really wants to go to miss that opportunity. So our website has information and tickets available right now. So if you go to tcwild.org, you'll be able to get full information about the Gula event and even buy your tickets right there online.
Say, Dan, you might want to also do this. So you know that we are now broadcasting on, well, I guess we call it YouTube every day. So if you want to go to WPSL TV on YouTube, you type in our WPSL TV, you will find this program from today on YouTube. If you repost it on Facebook or on your sites, people will hear what you and I just talked about.
Excellent. We shall do exactly that.
Very good. Well, thank you, Dan. Listen, we hope the weather's good for you all down there, you and your animals and all of our animals, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday. Hopefully it's all behind us by then.
Indeed. We'll cross our fingers for all the listeners out there. Everyone be safe through the storm, and we'll speak with you on the other side.
Thanks, Dan.
I think Miley's
The Voice had its 5th night of blind auditions last night. A 27-year-old woman from Oklahoma, Mae Thomas, got Miley and Adam to turn their chairs around, but only Miley had the real shot. I guess Mae's dad is a DJ with 101.7 FM in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And, well, here's, I guess, also last night on The Voice, Candace Cameron Burrs. Now, who is Candace Cameron Burrs' 18-year-old daughter? Do you know who Cameron? I don't know who Candace Cameron Burr is, but her daughter auditioned last night, and here's the audio from that.
I can't help falling in love with you.
What's your name?
Natasha Bure.
There was something there that was really different and special. And then the second my chair turned around, you had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. And I think that had you not kind of fallen apart there, you would have had more people challenging me. If you can work on getting your nerves together, there's something beautiful there.
I also think there's so many great runs, because even Blake was like, dang, that's a cool version, and I love this song. So it got too tricky for me. You don't have to prove yourself in one song.
I'm really curious. I'm really excited to see what we're gonna accomplish. I'm really happy you're on my team. Welcome.
Candace Cameron was in Full House.
Okay.
I Googled it. So she's a pretty woman from Full House, and that was her 18-year-old daughter auditioning.
What happened to all the money?
Voice.
What happened to all the money?
What money?
Money they gave her for music lessons.
What, you don't think she was good?
Cliff and I both went thumbs down.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did. Of course, Cliff is a musical mind.
She turned her. Adam was the only one who turned around, and Adam is now her coach, so maybe she'll get better.
We'll see.
Here's hoping.
Good morning, folks. It's 8:53, 75 degrees now. It's time for the final newscast of the morning show. Governor Scott is urging all Floridians to get prepared for the possibility of a major hurricane called Matthew, directly impacting Florida's Atlantic coast from the Keys up to Jacksonville later this week. The governor has declared a state of emergency for all of Florida's 67 counties.
I'm staying in constant contact with the National Hurricane Center and emergency management teams in all 67 counties to make sure that every local community has all the resources needed to prepare and respond.
And the U.S. Coast Guard is advising boaters throughout South Florida to begin preparing for Matthew. The rough seas and windy days ahead mean they need to make fast plans to lock their boats down. At the Sunset Bay Marina in Stewart, located along St. Lucie River, boats remain some distance away from the coast, but this waterway will play an important role for boaters as they try to get away from the approaching storm surge. A 50-year-old woman is dead now after getting hit by a car in Port St. Lucie yesterday. Police said Antoinette Bauman tried to cross Port St. Lucie Boulevard at Eroso Boulevard when she was hit by a 2009 blue Chevrolet Blazer. She was taken to St. Lucie Medical Center where she passed away. Witnesses told police the driver had the green light at the time. The driver of the SUV was not injured in the crash, and no charges are pending. SeaWorld plans to offer customers what some are calling a socially conscious food item. The change is part of the promises made after the end of the whale breeding program in March. Some of the new foods to be offered include eggs from cage-free chickens, pork from suppliers committed to humane farming practices, and more plant-based options. The new policy will be in effect in all 12 parks owned by the company, including SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens in Tampa. The new food plans will begin phasing in over the next year. And can you train your brain to resist sweets? A computer program developed by researchers in Pennsylvania is helping some people lose weight.
It's a brain-training computer game designed to activate the part of the brain that says stop instead of go to certain foods.
If you think of it as like a basic brain skill, that by practicing something that's a little bit difficult repeatedly over and over again, you get better at it. Practicing it to a picture of the food translates to practicing it to the real food.
Evan Foreman, a psychologist at Drexel University, developed the computer program that takes 10 minutes a day for 6 weeks. The dieter responds to a series of pictures, good and bad food, accepting or refusing. It changes and gets faster over time. As people get better at the game, they should get better at resisting the temptation to eat unhealthy food in real life.
And those are the stories making news this hour. Let's check your traffic now. We had a phone call about an hour ago or so at I-95 at Gatlin Boulevard with traffic backed up to the Crosstown Parkway. We haven't heard whether it's cleared or not, but our assumption is it may be clear by now. If not, please give us a call here. You can reach us at 340-1590.
The Morning Show with Mr. G and Paul Stone. The talk of the Treasure Coast. 1590 WPSL.
Yeah, we're going back in the day, Paul.
Yes, we are, G. Well, let's see here. 20 years ago, I'm going to ask you if you see how this is called The Thing You Do.
The Thing You Do?
The Thing You Do. It was a movie. Tom Hanks wrote it, directed it, and starred in it.
I don't remember The Thing
good.
You Do.
Yeah, it was good. Check it out one day.
Okay.
A bunch of kids, they form a band, and they become pretty famous.
And it's about the things they do?
The things they do, that's right. And 59 years ago, the space age officially began. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first man-made satellite into orbit. 59 years ago, in 1957, CBS launched Leave It to Beaver.
Oh.
Starring the very sexy Barbara Billingsley.
Ward was always hard on the Beaver.
He was. Yeah, lay up that boy, Ward. Come on now. And 46 years ago, in 1970, Janis Joplin was found dead in an apparent heroin overdose in her room at Landmark Hotel in Hollywood. She was only 27 years old. Janis had just finished recording her second solo album called pearl.
You know, someone did a story about stars that have died at that age.
Right here.
27.
Yeah.
A lot of people died at 27. Go for it, Paul.
Jimi Hendrix,
Wow.
Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Brian Jones, the
something?
Rolling Stones, Grateful Dead, and keyboardist Ron Pigpen McCarran and Amy Winehouse.
Wonder how he got that nickname.
Yeah, you wonder. 27
Pigpen.
years old. Wow. And gee, way back in 1960, a blind man called Jose Feliciano, he wrote a song called Light My Fire. It went gold.
You know that it would be untrue.
They don't make songs like this anymore.
You know that I would be alive.
It's going to do it for us, Paul.
Oh, have a great day, G. Stay west, stay dry, man.
I know, man. We're WPSL Port St. Lucie. CBS News is next, followed by Cliff and Swap Shop. Talk to you tomorrow.